All right. Good morning, everyone, once again. Today, the session number 8. So far, we had 7 session, and I'm assuming so far you guys are feeling good about our session. Today, we are going to discuss about AWS migration and transfer acceleration, and we are going to see hands-on AWS how we are going to work through and how it is going to help you to clear your interviews, clear your exam, and how you can get a job and how you can sustain your job. So all those 4 factors are very essential on this training. So my presentation is based on these 4 aspects, right? So moving to first slide. So this is our today agenda. We are going to talk about migrating your on-premises application to cloud. What are the strategy we have to use and how we are going to migrate. Transfer acceleration. What is transfer acceleration and how you can check your speed. That means how much reliable, how much durable, and how fast it is. We are going to see in hands-on, and followed by AWS hands-on. We are going to cover today. Last week we have covered AWS organization. Unfortunately, we didn't have sufficient time to go through these hands-on last week. So today we are going to do that one. And last week we had a discussion about Amazon Glacier and how we are setting up Amazon Glacier today that we are going to see. And CloudTrail, you already know that the CloudTrail is a logging mechanism. Whenever you are logging into your account, it is keep tracking what is going on your account. Okay, so we are going to see the hands-on on CloudTrail. And if time permit, we can request the snowball which we discussed on last week. So these are the plans for today. And if you have any questions, which those questions are able to wait till end of the session, that is perfectly fine. No, you have to know the answer by that time itself, then just unmute and ask me your question. Right. Okay. So next, we are going to AWS migration. Before explaining the slide, if you are able to see the picture in the bottom right, you are able to see the building and the AWS cloud. Okay, so that means this slide we are going to talk about AWS migration. What is about migration and how we are migrating from your on-premises application to cloud and how we are retrieving your information or application or accessing your application from cloud to your on-premises. So that's why we are giving bidirectional so that we are sending and receiving information from your on-premises data or infrastructure to cloud and come back. Okay. So this is the small picture illustrate entire the slide. I hope you are able to see my mouse cursor and the navigation, everything. So if not, let me know.
Yes,
Right.
we can see.
Okay. Thank you. So now what is AWS migration? Okay. As I said, moving your data from on-premises data center to cloud is called a migration. It's a straightforward. And exam point of view, it is very important to know what is AWS migration. You will get one question definitely about this. Okay. So it is a very simple to answer. Just you are moving your application to um, that means your on-premises location, that is your infrastructure to cloud. Okay. So it is the process of moving data, as I said, application. For example, you have database, SQL Server database, Oracle database, and you have application. For example, you have e-commerce application. You are running a e-commerce business, and you have collection of application with the collection of vendor information in the data and other business components. For example, you have some third-party payment gateway, that is some other business component from an organization on-premises infrastructure. Okay, that is you already managing 2 production servers and 2 DR servers. That is DR means it is disaster recovery servers, and everything you are moving to the cloud and moving them from one cloud to uh, another service provider. That means you already have your cloud application in IBM Watson, but somehow you are not satisfied with the IBM, then you are switching over to AWS. Okay, that also a kind of migration. So straightforward, you are moving your application data and any other business components from your premises to cloud or from other service provider such as Google Cloud or Azure to AWS Cloud. So that also called as a migration. Okay, migration on easy, yes, easy, but it's a big task because you have to migrate all the relevant components and APIs, everything into the migration. That means cloud migration. I mean AWS facility. It is a easy task, but lots of work to do to analyze and perform the list of tasks. That means in sequence. Okay. So what are the steps and how we are going to do that? We are going to discuss in the upcoming slide. But at this moment, we are going to discuss about why I have to migrate from my on-premises application to cloud. Okay, there are some benefits. One is modernize current IT asset base. That means I have the legacy mainframe servers. Okay, but I want to run this application into the latest Visual Studio 2019. Okay, so in that case, I can go with cloud migration. Prepare for future needs. Okay, so that means currently I'm okay, but in future I'm expecting my market base is increasing significantly than current. That means currently I have only 1,000 to 1,200 customers visiting to my site, but in future, in the demand is going to be increased. So I need to be prepared for that. But I don't know how much I have to prepare. So better I can go with the cloud so that cloud service providers will be taken care of these things. So for that, I'm going for this one. Lower infrastructure cost. Okay, you need not maintain your infrastructure on your own. Okay, you are going to use just whatever you are going to pay. That means whatever you are going to use, only for that you are going to pay. Increase business agility. That means you need not worry about infrastructure or anything. Just you focus on your business. Okay, rest will be taken care by cloud. Disaster recovery. Okay, you have placed two disaster recovery server, but two of them is not working due to various reasons. Okay, still you need not worry because AWS is managing well disaster recovery. And security, whenever you are migrating your application, that time itself your data is secured. Okay, whether in transition to your on-premises to cloud or from cloud to your premises, everything is securely encrypted. So we are good in terms of security. So these are the basic benefits we have to migrate into the cloud. You may have some questions over here, but keep it to you till end. Okay, next slide. Okay, you have application and it is running well in your on premises, within your on premises, and you want to move to cloud. Okay, so what are the steps, what are the phases I have to go through in order to successfully move my application to AWS? Okay, so before going to this step, we already covered simple storage service S3. Okay, so you know how to create a bucket, how to upload your files, and how to set the storage class, how to encrypt, how to manage versioning, everything. Okay, but it is very important to go to uh, that means before going to EC2 or VPC, whatever it is, you have to understand how we are migrating your data to cloud, because in the exam point of view, it is very least options you are going to have the questions, but your job perspective, your employment perspective, if you are attending an interview, definitely you are going to get the questions can you please let me know what are the phases involved into the AWS migration? Okay, so the interviewer is expecting from you that at least you know what are the phases is there, and they are evaluating you, at least you know something um, about the phases. and each phases what exactly they are performing. Okay, so they want to know all those information from you. So it is interview point of view, it is very essential to know the phases of AWS migration. Okay, that's why I have included this topic into our today's session. Okay, coming back to the phases of AWS migration here. Okay, here there are 5 phases into AWS migration. Okay, one is starting with the discovery phase. Okay, I'm going to explain what is the discovery phase. Okay, at this moment, you know what are the phases in this slide. Okay, discovery phase, next cloud assessment phase. Okay, next proof of concept, that is POC. The phase number 4 is application migration phase. And the fifth one is enterprise cloud operation phase. Okay, so these are the 5 phases we need to know in order to succeed our interviews related to AWS. Okay, it is not very difficult thing to understand because my next slide will make your life easier. Okay, at this point, just to understand the picture, this is your organization or corporate or whatever it is. From here to here, 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 then finally you are moving to this cloud. Okay, these are the various steps from your on-premises data to the cloud. Okay, hope you may understand, but if you don't understand also, that is fine. Next slide, you will be clear. Okay. Here is the phases. Okay. Phase 1, discovery. That means applications which can be moved to the cloud. Okay. There are 2 types of application you have. One is it can be migrated, and some application cannot be migrated. So you have to segregate these 2 applications from migration to non-migration, so that you can focus only on migrated. What are the application are eligible to migrate, those applications only you are going to migrate. So that is the discovery phase. I think it's very simple, you are able to understand. Okay, why can't move all the application to cloud? Okay, if you have that question, yes, it depends on your organization. Okay, depends on the application. Okay, you can move or you may not move. Okay, for example, you are running a classic COBOL project. Okay, uh, that project, if you want to, if you don't want to move, that is fine. If you are moving, yes, you have to work several steps to upload your data, but it is not going to give the fruitful result if you are migrating the legacy COBOL programs or Fortran programs or FoxPro programs. Okay, because AWS is modern. Okay, still it is support the legacy application, but it's very old application. If you are migrating, you will not see that kind of fruitful benefits like other applications. So such application you can run into your on-premises, but at this point in the discovery, you have to segregate what are the applications you are going to migrate and what you are not going to. So that's the discovery phase. I think you are able to understand now. Okay, phase 2. Okay, what we are going to do, assessment, choosing your migration method. Okay, what method you are going to use. Okay, that you are going to assess. Okay, depending on the data. Okay, how large is, okay, that is the matter. AWS provides different ways to migrate your application. Okay, for example, AWS Snowball, you have large data. Okay, you cannot directly upload into your S3 bucket using AWS Direct Connect. Okay, in that case, you can request them to send the large Snowball device to your premises, so that you are connecting to that Snowball, and you are transferring all your data, bulk data to Snowball, and they will take care of rest. Okay. Okay, as soon as your Snowball reaches to AWS premises, that is Amazon premises, they will connect to their server and they will upload into the desired S3 bucket. Okay, and this is extremely large amount of data where Snowball cannot handle. Then you can go to Snow Mobile, or I have medium sized data, so I can directly upload into the S3 bucket. Then you can go to S3 Direct Connect. Okay. So depending on the data and the size, you can choose the appropriate way to move your data. Okay. Also, you can look the resources, what kind of resources you need to use in order to move this data. Right. Next, proof of concept for AWS storage. Okay. Once you know, okay, what you are going to migrate and what assessment you made here, okay, based on that, you are going to do a small proof of concept, how it is going to work and how it is going to benefit to you. Okay, that proof of concept will give you fair result, how benefit you are going to if you are migrating your application into AWS. Okay, so these are the three phases. Okay, two more phases remaining. We are going to see in the next slide. Okay, application migration to AWS, that is the phase 4. Okay, now you have all the prerequisites like POC, you know, migration tools like Snowball or Snowmobile, whatever it is. And now you can move your data to AWS. Okay, so once it will be done, then you are able to see the reliability and durability or the other benefits you are getting. That means, as I said last class, the durability is 99.99 percentage. Okay, and reliability 99.999999999. That means 99.119. Okay, that kind of reliability and durability you are getting from the AWS. Okay, next, enterprise cloud operation. That means at this point, as I mentioned in the slide, you done everything, but still you are monitoring after some time. That means whether it is working fine or not, or you have any challenges, or your customer has any challenges, so that if any challenges, you are able to contact support and resolve this issue. So these are the 5 simple phases to migrate your application into cloud from your on-premise infrastructure. Okay, you may have some questions. Um, keep with you till end. Okay. Okay. So this diagram will help you to understand better. Okay. This one is called as a assessment, where we are come up with business case, okay, and directional how I'm going to approach. Okay. And what are the application I'm going to select for migration? That is in the assessment phase. Next, migration and readiness planning. There I'm planning, okay, how I'm going to choose, what tool I'm going to choose, everything. So what are the operating model, what are the security and compliance I have to go, what zone I have to go. Okay, so how many applications I'm going to migrate per time. So all those things you are planning and you are designing accordingly. If you see, assess is separate, planning is separate, design and migrate is separate, and operate optimization, that is separate phase. Okay, so for your convenience, I have ordered separate boxes so that you can understand each and everything is a different phase. Okay, so here you are come up with tool selection, what kind of tools you are going to select, like as I said, Snowball or Snow Mobile, what kind of tool you are going to choose. Then you are going for the migration. After post migration, you are validating your operations, how it is optimized and cost effective, everything. So this is a simple AWS well architected framework for migrating your application to the cloud. Okay, moving to next slide. How big data you have and how long it will take to application migrate to the cloud. So that we are discussing here. Okay, here it's a 2 to 4 hours if we have a very low level of applications. Okay, so that means a basic workload, current supported OS on AWS. Okay, known documented environment, no database. So it's a simple application. It will take 2 to 4 hours. And a slightly big application, still no database. Okay, it will take 4 to 6 hours. Medium applications, it will take 6 to 8 hours, including no database. Okay, so here 10 to 14 hours if you are using the snowball kind of large applications. Okay, large amount of data, but very high for the extreme load. So such application will take 20 to 24 hours. For example, um, you are running a streaming services like Netflix. Okay, you have billions of videos. Okay, you don't want to continue your on premises. You want to go for the cloud. Then you can choose Snow Mobile. That is, it will take very high amount of data, so it will take 20 to 24 hours for the migration. Okay, so these are the migration method you can use. Okay, you may have some questions. Keep with you till end. And what are the strategies we are going to have? Okay, this picture is a very simply illustrating 6 R's actually. Uh, 6R means refactor, replatform, rehost, repurchase, retain, and retire. So these are the 6 R's. Okay, how 6 R's are the strategies that we are going to discuss next slide. But you are going to discover here. Then you are going to decide if yes, you are going here. If no, again go back. If you decide yes, then you are going this you are going to use the 6 R's strategy. Okay, then you are going for the transition to AWS. Here AWS is a private cloud as well as public cloud. Is the combination whatever you are going to choose. Okay, or hybrid cloud, whatever it is. Okay, so these are the three repeated R's. Okay, that's why I have mentioned this kind of structure over here. So this is not repeated thing. Okay, that's why I didn't use this loop over here. I think you are able to understand and you are able to differentiate between these four with these two. Okay, so now, for example, retire is a single time option or operation. Retain is single time option or operation. But these are the thing repeated process. Okay, hence I have added into a different color code for your better understanding. Okay, now let's deep dive into that 6 R's. Okay, rehost. Okay, you have your application. It is working fine. Just you have to simply rehost in AWS. It is referred as a lift and shift. Okay, so you're lifting your application from your on-premises and shifting to AWS. Your you lift your services and application from your hosting environment and shift them into the cloud using a third-party exporting tool if you want, or AWS itself is offering several tools for rehosting. Okay, rehosting from your on-premises data to the cloud. Okay, re-platform, you have an outdated version of your application running on your hosting environment. Okay, uh, and you want to modify your application and then rehost it. Okay, this also re-platform is a modification of lift and shift. It involves optimizing the cloud architecture to achieve the benefits without changing the core architecture of the application. Your application software may be changed, but your core architecture will not change. Okay, for example, you are running your application in Visual Studio 2007. Okay, but you want to upgrade your application okay to 2019 Visual Studio. Okay, in that case, you can re-platform your application. Then you can host. That is called the lift and shift. So you are upgrading your application. You are shifting. That's all. Simple concept. Repurchase. Okay, there would be a certain application that won't be compatible with the new architecture. Okay, in that case, you need to purchase a new application for the new architecture. As I said, you have a legacy mainframe application, okay, which it is not supported in the AWS. Okay, in that case, you have to go with the appropriate uh, technology or software, and you have to purchase that one in order to run your application into the cloud. Okay, so such thing you can use for pay per use model. That means you are not for example, if you are going to run your application in Java, okay, Java is a open source. Okay, for example, if other data we're using tools. Okay, you need not pay for entire license. Okay, you are going to pay only whatever you are going to use. Okay, so that is called a repurchase thing. Okay, repurchase also referred to as drop and shop. That means where you upgrade, it is a easy implementation and accept a new architecture and make changes to the existing model. uh, it will change your architecture when you are changing the platform itself. Okay, that's what we mean. Okay, three more R's here. Refactor, that means you want to add up a new feature. Okay, that time you can go for the refactor. Okay, no, my application is working fine. Okay, I don't want to go for any refactor thing, then that's fine. Okay, but once your migration has been completed, you can retire your on-premises applications, okay, after some time. Retain, as you know, the sections of your project you need to migrate. You can simply use any of the above mentioned strategies. Okay, for example, you don't want to move all your application um, to AWS, and you don't want to monitor the AWS things. Okay, sometimes parallelly you want to execute your applications from your on-premises as well as AWS. Okay, such time we have to retain your on-premises data. So that's what we mean here. So these are the 6 R's. Definitely, you may have some questions. We will discuss at the end. Okay, here are the some benefits of AWS migration. Elasticity. Okay, before going to this one, I have to give one example to you. Okay, during the Thanksgiving, Costco shopping was completely stopped. Okay, Costco.com, because the expected crowd, um, the expected crowd is less, but actually there are significant number of customers who are trying to access their system uh, simultaneously, so they are not able to manage the load. At the end, the system was broken down. It leads 26 million loss to the Costco during the Thanksgiving holiday. I think you may already know about this. Okay, why it was happened? Because of the capacity planning, poor capacity planning. Okay, so what will happen if you already migrated your application to AWS? Nothing will happen. The load will be managed automatically. For example, you have set the elasticity as 70 percentage. Okay, whenever reaching that 70% capacity to that server, it will create one more virtual server. Okay, there if 70 percentage load will be done, then it will create one more virtual server. Okay, there 70 percentage is done, it will create automatically whenever you are reaching the 70 percentage. Okay, and okay, my load is now less. By default, whenever it went below 70%, it will be remove that virtual server. Then coming to the previous server, check the load. If it is less than 50% or 40 percentage, and is it possible to accommodate the previous servers? Yes, remove that virtual server, like that. So that means adding and removing capacity whenever is needed is the greatest benefits of Elasticity. As I said, disaster recovery with the 99.95 guaranteed uptime. Note here, it is not 99.99. It is disaster recovery with a guaranteed uptime is 99.95. Exam point of view, it is very important. And the business can confident knowing that their data will always be available. Okay, little latency down, but that is not the meaning everything is down. Still, it is reliable to use, available to use the migrated application. And enhanced cost management, that means IaaS means infrastructure as a service platform provides two major benefits. One is IA such as Amazon Web Service is available as a monthly service. That means you need not pay entire year. Okay, every month you can pay. Secondly, it eliminates the need to continue purchase and maintain physical hardware. No. Okay, just pay per use. For example, I was working in my previous project and I have done my development, but my server is not yet come. Okay, so I think already I told this example in the first or second class. Why I'm repeating again? So I need not wait for my hardware. Okay, it may be delayed because it's related with the third party. Okay, so such scenarios you need not wait to implement your project. Okay, so you can directly go to AWS and host your application. You need not purchase any separate hardware and you need not maintain any physical hardware also. So these are the main benefits of AWS migration. Okay, next slide. What are the services offered by um, AWS? Okay, so Migration Hub, you know that it's a single location where you can track the migration process. Okay, it is a freedom to choose your migration partners or within the migration tools, whatever AWS is offering us below. One is migration services. It is called as a SMS, server migration service, is an agentless service that migrate loads of on-premises workload to AWS easier and faster. You can use this service for faster transaction. And transfer acceleration, this makes a transfer of file over long range of AWS S3 bucket faster and secure. We are going to discuss alone this part in the next slide. You already know what is Snowball. We already discussed about this one. So if you have a large amount of data, you can use Snowball mechanism um, or service to migrate your application. Snowmobile, if you have a extremely large amount of data, then you can go for AWS Snowmobile. And the Kinesis Firos, it's another key term, but we already discussed about this in the concept of the day. And it is easiest of all the methods because it capture automatically load streaming data into Amazon S3. Okay, you can analyze real-time data and get timely insight of migration, how much percentage you have completed, how much remaining, and any steps involved or any source stopper for the migration. Everything you are able to understand using Amazon Kinesis Firehouse. Okay, so now we are done with migrating on-premises application to cloud. Okay, you may have some questions. Um, okay, before going to that questions. Okay. Okay. So here is the small poll to make sure you understand. Okay, benefits of cloud migration is, okay, if you know the answer, um, just type wherever you want. For example, in the section where we have chart, or let me, I am trying to publish this one, but nothing is working here for me. Okay, we'll see later. Okay, hope you may are able to understand about this, but okay, thank you for your answer. Okay, next we are going to talk about transfer acceleration. It's one of the important concept in the exam point of view as well as your interview point of view. Okay, transfer acceleration, what is that? Okay, it is enable fast, easy, and secure transfers of files over long distance between your client and S3 buckets. To explain this one, I will go to the next slide and I'll come back to this slide. Okay, for example, in this slide, okay, you are able to see the users are across the globe. Okay, where I'm mentioning this block thing, location, it's called as a edge location. That means, you know, there are thousands of edge locations nearby us. Okay, so there, you for example here, I think you're able to see my mouse movement. Okay, this user is interacting this edge location. Okay, this user is interacting this edge location. This user, these two users are interacting this edge location. Okay, so all the edge location, if you see, they are directly connected with other region specific storage. Okay, that means, um, for example, this particular user is asking or requesting one particular video from this edge location. Okay, but that video is not available in this edge location. What will happen? This edge location will request video to this region. Okay, so this region is in Europe, but this user is in Africa. Okay, so in that case, what will happen? Okay, again, I'm repeating this particular user. Okay, not this user. Okay, this user is requesting one particular video to this edge location, but this video is not available here. So this edge location is requesting this video to this main region over here, which is in Europe. Okay, consider as London. Okay, then this video is transferring as much as fast to this edge location. It's a catching mechanism here. So this edge location is catching that video and giving back to this user. Okay, that means now this user is able to um, view this video now. Okay, so first time it transfer has been completed. Okay, and now this user is requesting that same video to this edge location. Now this edge location catched that video from this location, so she is able to watch immediately. There is a little bit latency over here, but for her, no. Okay, so such thing, how much faster transfer is happening between the location that we are talking about in this transfer acceleration, how much speed it is. Okay, so coming to this previous slide, okay, transfer acceleration enables fast, easy, and secure transfer of files over long distance between your client and to on S3 bucket. I think now you understand this point. Okay. Transfer acceleration takes advantage of Amazon CloudFront globally distributed edge location. Yes, it doesn't matter which region you are belongs to. As the data arrives at the edge location, data is routed to Amazon S3 over an optimized network path. That means It's a secured path, optimized path, so that there will be no delay in that path. When using transfer acceleration, additional data transfer charges may be applied because it's not a basic free tier service. Okay. So transfer acceleration, whenever you are using, it will be accelerate the speed of transferring files from cloud to your browser. Okay. You have customers that upload to centralized bucket from all over the world. That time you need the transfer acceleration and transfer gigabyte to terabyte of data. That means it's a normally it transferred in the gigabyte. For example, 50 gigabyte per minute kind of thing. Okay, so I want my data should be transferred as much as fast. Okay, that also huge amount of data, not in gigabyte but terabyte. That time also you can use this transfer acceleration. And you are unable to utilize all of your available bandwidth over the internet when uploading to Amazon S3. That means that time also you can use transfer acceleration to accelerate the transfer speed. So this is about all transfer acceleration. Okay, hope you may have some questions we'll take at the end. Hope you are able to understand this picture also. Okay, now how I know how much fast this data acceleration is working. Okay, you can directly click this link. For your convenience, I have given this link, but to know I need some other options to know, then just go here and type AWS S3 transfer acceleration, okay, tool. Okay, if you click that one, you are able to see, okay, how much fast it is transferring now. Okay, better you can go here and click here. Okay, here, if you see, you are able to understand how much fast the data is going to be uploaded. Okay, currently I have connected with Virginia. Okay, so where this is the speed. Okay, it will take some time, up to 15 minutes. Okay, to know all the region speed. Okay, upload speed comparison other regions. It will take some time, maximum 15 minutes to load all this information so that you are able to understand how much fast in every region is currently optimized. Okay, for example, Mumbai, the speed is going to calculate, it is pending to calculate. Okay, all other Canada or Australia, all the location you are able to see here. Okay, at this moment, um, my acceleration speed is here, it is just 37% faster at this moment. Okay, so like that we are able to see and we are able to calculate how much speed you will get your application back or running. Okay, so this is the about transfer acceleration tool. Okay, so you may have a question here also. Okay, but we'll take at the end. Okay, next one is AWS hands-on. Okay, let's go. Go to aws.amazon.com. You know, we already have AWS account. Okay, just I'm closing this one. I hope everybody answered this one. Okay, thank you for all your answers. Yes, we'll provide the deck. Okay, security, it's fantastic. Okay, right now. Okay, I'm logging into my AWS account, aws.amazon.com. Okay, now I'm signing into that console. Okay, I'm logging as a root user where I am using our typical user ID, that is Kana AWS USA at gmail.com. Next, okay, password. Okay, I'm entering my password is okay. Now I have to enter multi-factor authentication code, which already you know that we have already configured in the Google Authenticator. Okay, in my Google Authenticator, the multi-factor authentication code is 8224 and 821. Okay, I'm just clicking submit. Okay, now I'm able to log in to my account. Okay, here you are able to see my account. Okay, next. Okay, we are going to see how AWS organization we are going to create. Click services. There we are going to go to AWS organization under management and governance. Okay, I'm just clicking AWS organization. Okay, I'm going to create my organization. Okay, already you know that what is organization. We already discussed on last week. For your convenience, okay, quickly go back um, to the last week presentation. Uh, okay, so this is the AWS organization which we discussed last week. Okay, so you are the master account holder, administrative, okay, and you are the CEO of the company, and you have formed three departments here: development, test and production, or marketing, sales and service. And underneath you have marketing managers, and underneath marketing people, sales people, service people, and one more level you can create. Total 5 levels you can create. It's a typical AWS organization, looks like our typical organization in our office or college, wherever it is. Okay, now we are going to create such structures in CanSam. Okay, now, okay, create organization. I'm going to create an organization here. Okay, when creating organization, it provides single payer and centralized cost tracking. For example, you have created 100 users, it doesn't matter. Everything is billing to this organization, whosoever is going to create. Okay, I understand these things. Okay, now I'm creating AWS organization. Okay, here I have joined in my organization. Okay, so here it's shows a star mark. That means it's a master account. Okay, I can create any number of, I can invite any number of account, I can create any number of account. Okay, we sent a verification email to this email ID. Okay, we have to verify over there, and meanwhile transfer acceleration is you are able to see which region is faster at this moment. So Dublin is the 246 percentage is faster. Okay, other region is still loading on. Okay, and meanwhile we'll go to my email. Okay, so they charge 25 cents. Okay, so this one email we got it 11:53 central. That means 1 minute ago. Whenever I have clicked here the organization, I got that email. So verify your email address. Yes, I have verified. Okay, now I'm good to go here. Okay, your email ID has been, your email address has been verified. Now you can invite existing AWS accounts to join your organization. Until unless I cannot verify, I cannot add or invite anyone. Okay, now I'm closing this one. I'm inviting some people to join my organization. Okay, and before that, what I'm going to do, these policies, server control policies. Okay, I have disabled. Okay, because others don't want to modify these settings. And organizing accounts, at this moment, I don't have any organization I have created. Okay, now I'm going to create one organizational unit. I'm going to create as a sales. Okay, create organizational unit. Okay, under the sales, I want to create one more sales, for example, pre-sales department. Okay, just clicking sales, and I'm creating one more organization called as a pre-sales. Okay, I have created two departments, two organization unit, but I have, if you see here, this is the root. From the root, I have one sales account, but under the sales, I have one more pre-sales. Okay, I can create one more organization unit within that pre-sales, but at this moment, I'm okay. Okay, and I'm creating one more organization. For example, already I have created sales. Next, I'm going to create one more organization unit called as a marketing. Um, okay, so I have created. Okay, now sales, marketing I have, but if you see here, pre-sales is the department of under sales. Okay, and I'm creating one more called as a service. Okay, I have created all these three departments under root, but if you see here, you are able to see clearly. Okay, now if we expand the sales, we are able to see pre-sales department. Okay, now, okay, coming to these invitations at this moment, I didn't invited anyone. So this is the settings about my organization ID, who is the master account, and this is already verified because we click that email to confirm. If I don't want this organization, I can delete this one, but at this moment, I keep this one. And there are several policies, artifacts you can enable or disable. But at this moment, I'm not going to enable anything except CloudTrail so that I know what is going on my account. Okay, you're about to enable trusted access to organization. Okay, so I'm just clicking enable access. Okay, so that I can monitor my account, what are the activities and performing. Rest of them I am leaving as it is at this moment, but in the future session we are going to enable. Now you understand organization units, whatever we have created, and these are the accounts. Okay, now I want to add a person to my organization. What I have to do? Okay, you can go invitation and invite account. Okay, uh, you can invite already existing account, uh, or you can create your own account. Okay, for example, I'm inviting the existing account. Okay, so for example, okay, this account, this AWS account, or this person I'm going to invite. Notes is an optional, but if you want, you can type why you are inviting such things. Okay, but I'm leave it blank at this moment. Next, invite. Okay, so now you have invited this person. Okay, the action is cancel. If you want, you can cancel this one. No, I wrongly invited. Okay, you can cancel them, but at this moment, I'm not going to cancel. Okay, the status is still open. Okay, so this is your account. At this point, you are the only person is here. Okay, now, okay, I'm logging into that other account, whosoever I send that invitation. That means this person. Okay, I'm logging off this one. Okay, and logging into my other account. Okay, before going to that, okay, if I'm clicking this email, um, for this account only, I send the invite. If I see my Gmail, okay, I'm able to see, um, okay, one email here I have received. Okay, here if I click, um, your AWS account has been invited to join on AWS organization. Yes. Okay, you got the notification. Okay, you can directly click this link. to join that organization, okay, just click here and you are able to redirect to that AWS account. Okay, I'm choosing that account over here. Okay, okay, sign in. Okay, if you see here, you got the invitation here. Okay, you can accept that invite. If you accept, then you will be part of that organization. If you decline, that invitation will be declined and you are not going to be in that organization. Okay, but at this moment, decline is very simple, but I want to show you practically. So I'm accepting this invite. Okay, so now I'm getting this message that you are going to confirm. Once again, I'm moving this one to somewhere. Okay, you're about to join AWS organization with the following ID. Yes, confirm. Okay, so you can leave your organization, whatever you have accepted. Okay, it's up to you. But now um, you you have accepted your invite. Okay, after that you got one email. You have accepted the request to add you into their organization. Yes, you have accepted effective from this date. Okay, now I'm going back to my actual email here. Okay, so as soon as it's done, the billing has been confirmed. I have ordered the organization. Okay, so now on AWS account has joined your AWS organization. Yes, now it's clear. He has accepted. Okay, now I'm logging back to my account, original account. Okay, here. Okay, next. And I'm entering password. And it's asking multi-factor authentication. Again, I'm using my smartphone to get Google Authenticator multi-factor authentication code. It is 754982. Okay, now I'm going to authenticate. That means AWS organization, which is I recently used service over here. Okay, now if we see earlier we were only one master account here. Now we have added one more account over here. Okay, next. I think you are able to understand now. Okay, I don't want this person to my organization. Okay, just click and remove account. Simple. Okay, but at this moment I'm going to organization accounts where I'm able to see 3 departments and 2 accounts. Okay. Now, okay, I want to move this person to sales department. Okay, I'm just clicking that one and I'm moving to sales department. Move. Okay, where you want to move? Okay, I want to move to sales department. That too, I want to move to pre-sales. Okay, pre-sales. Click move. Okay, that record is moved. I want to be in the marketing organization unit. Okay, I'm clicking this one and move. I'm going to marketing department and move. Okay, now in the root, nobody, all the employees have been assigned to the respective department. How I can ensure? Okay, just to go into marketing, I'll make sure I'm part of that organization. Yes, I'm part of that organization. Okay, I'm going back and clicking sales, and again nobody's here, and again I'm clicking pre-sales department. I'm able to see one person over there. Like that, you can invite other AWS user and accounts, or you can create your other users and they can join your organization, and you can assign the respective department accordingly whatever we did, and you can create the departments as we created over here. So this is about AWS organization, which is very important concept in terms of your examination as well as interview point of view, and even to sustain your job. So this is all about AWS organization. Okay, you may have some questions, but wait till the end. I'll explain you. Okay, now still I'm looking now. It is 37% faster in Virginia location in the transfer acceleration rate, and Dublin is still fast, but other non-US territory it is more fast. For example, South Korea is 458% faster. Okay. Meanwhile, okay. Next we will see. Okay, AWS organization is done. Okay. Next we will move to Snowball. How to request the Snowball to AWS. Okay. Snowball, where you can find Snowball in, you can type in the search button where Snowball is there, and or you can search within their services whatever they are giving. It's typically in the migration and transfer, because you are transferring your files to AWS and they are migrating. Okay, just how you can request the Snowball. Okay, for anyone if you don't know Snowball how it looks like, I will show you next. Okay, just I'm clicking Snowball. Okay, before going to here, um, here is the, I think if I'm not wrong, we did that one. Okay, here. So this is actually Snowball. Okay, this is kind of a drive. You will get it from Amazon, so that you can uh, upload your content in the Snowball and you can send them to Amazon. Okay, so how we are going to request this Snowball, that's what we are going to see now. Okay, so create a job. Okay, beginning April 7th. Okay, AWS Snowball service will use Snowball Edge storage optimized device for all data transfer jobs. Okay, the first generation is 50 TB and 80 TB Snowball hardware will be available for orders until April 6th. After April 6th, you can use Snowball Edge Storage Optimized device for your offline data transfer needs. Okay. So originally it was ended on February 4th, but now extended to April 7th. Okay, now it doesn't matter. Still, we can request Snowball, create job. Okay, first you have to confirm your location. Okay, I'm just closing. Okay, I'm ensure that I'm in US. Okay, if you are non-US, you have to it will pop up accordingly. You can choose accordingly. Okay, I'm going to import from a import into Amazon S3. So I'm going to choose this option rather than exporting our local compute or storage only. What's the difference? Okay, you can import any amount of data to S3 using this device. For that, I'm requesting this device. Okay, export. Okay, from Snowball to your on-premises. This one is you don't have hardware. You want to use Snowball as your hardware storage. Yes, you can use this one. Okay, but at this moment, I'm going to use import into S3. Click here. Okay, it is the shipping address. I'm going to use the existing address. Okay, for Snowball, I didn't create any address. So if I have already created, it will, I can choose this option. But at this moment, I'm going to choose this address. Okay, state. At this moment, I'm in Tennessee. Okay. Uh, shipping speed, how much speed you want that one. Okay, I'm going for 2 day shipping. Okay, next. Okay, job name. Okay, I want to export my data. Okay, export apps. That's what I'm going to give. Okay, currently I'm in US East North Virginia, and how much capacity I want. Okay, device for import job. What type of device I'm looking? Okay, at this moment I'm looking Snowball Edge storage optimized as the notification told. Okay, so I'm going to use that one now. Uh, Already I have two bucket. Which bucket is going to be? I'm going to use this second bucket. Okay, you can create a new bucket if you want. And I'm going to enable compute with EC2. Okay, um, if you want, you can choose that one, or it's an optional one. Okay, at this moment, I'm just okay with uh, storage. Okay, and going to the next. Okay, permission already set. Okay, if you want, you can choose any of the selected permissions. Okay, here I've clicked, and I'm going to view. Okay, create new IAM role. Okay, already I have IAM role only import for Snowball. Okay, I'm just giving allow permission. Okay, it redirect to here. Then click next. Okay, are you going to create a new SNS? SNS means simple notification service. That means whenever you are going to um, get any update, you want to, if you want to get the update, you have to enable that SNS. Okay, already I have some SNS, or you can create your SNS over here. Okay, the existing one, I'm going to use this one. Okay, next. Okay, everything I have clearly given. Okay, and just I'm going to submit my ticket, that is create job. If I click create job, then that device will come to my this address. Okay, and as soon as you import all your information to that device, that's normal, then the label will be changing to nearby Amazon location, then you are done. Okay, just I'm creating a job. Okay, here my job created successfully. Okay, so now I'm done. Okay, job created, preparing appliance, preparing shipment, everything it will done, and it will be completed. So this is what you have to request Snowball. Okay, you can cancel until next 1 hour. Okay, I have canceled my job because otherwise it will come to my address. That's Snowball. I don't want to put anything over there, so I'm canceling. But for your purpose, you have to do like that. Okay, now I'm canceling, but it is asking what is that my Snowball name I have created. So I'm typing that one, then cancel job, all done. Okay, it is cancelled. Okay, now we saw two examples. One is Snowball creation. Okay, and another one is we did what we did AWS organization and Snowball. Okay, next one. Okay, meanwhile, the speed acceleration still 37% faster, and still Seoul is faster now, and Mumbai is too fast, 506% faster. Fantastic. Okay, now one more service called S3 Glacier. Okay, how you are creating our S3 Glacier? Okay, just create wallet. Okay, I'm into North Virginia. I'm giving some name, uh, Glacier test. Okay, next step. Okay, do you want to enable notification? Yes, I enable notification. Okay, next step. Okay, what are the topic you want to give and the display name? Okay, if already I have notification, you can choose, but at this moment I don't want to enable notification. Okay, so typically my wallet name, whatever I have given, and this one is the region. If I submit, then your glacier will be created. Simple, straightforward. One more service I want to show you called as a cloud trial. So where you can see the cloud trial, it's in that also in different service here itself. Okay. Cloud trial. Okay. So here are the activities, logging in, log information, whatever we have performed here. You can click view all events so that since the account creation, you are able to see all the transactions over here. Okay. Create trial. I'm going to give you a trial name. For example, test trial. Okay. And apply to all region. Yes. Apply to trial to my organization. If you want, you can choose yes. Okay, in that case, you can, it's a separate charges for that. Okay, just put I know. Okay, management events. I want to know all the logs for read only, write only, none, everything. Allow AWS KMS events. Yes. For example, if you are using, you know what is KMS and key management services. Okay, whenever you are using that KMS, okay, you want to see that log also in this trial. Yes. Okay. Insight events, log insight events, anything you want to see. I don't want to see anything. Okay. I want to see all the S3 buckets, rewrite operations. Okay. So create a new S3 bucket. No. That no means I have already some bucket. I'm choosing that one. Okay. I don't want to go any advanced option to log in, log file prefix. I'm okay. I don't care any file prefix, anything. Okay. Tags, I'm just keeping um, optional, and I'm just creating. I'm able to see the cloud trial here I have created. If you click here, you're able to see all the information, and going forward, you're able to see in the dashboard, and here you are able to see view trials. And if you click here, no transaction performed till then, so nothing is visible. As soon as transaction will be performed, you are able to see information like here. Okay, at the last, I have logged into this console at 12:03 Central. Okay, so these are the cloud trial where you are able to see all the log information. Okay, so now I am deleting this cloud trial. Okay, done. Simple. All right. So these are the hands-on about creating your Glacier. Glacier means it's a backup storage for your Amazon AWS application, and we have created cloud trial to see the logging information, all the logs for your certain account, and we have created AWS organization, and we have see the transfer acceleration, and we have requested Snowball device to your premises. All right. So these are the things I thought of plan this one. If you see AWS notification message I have received when I have created export apps, that job for that Snowball, right? Okay, now transfer acceleration is still 37%, but other location is little fast. Mumbai is still fastest. Okay, all right. Next. All right. Questions. Any questions?
Okay, Satya, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Satya, this is Rajkumar. So you created the AWS organization and then associated multiple AWS accounts to the AWS organization, right?
Yeah.
So I assume that the account that you organized is a root user account, right? Not the IAM user.
You can use IAM user also.
Oh, okay. And okay, then I have another question, because you just added the account to the organization, but you didn't. But when we create the IAM user, we will give the policies. I mean, like we will restrict like these all the resources that the IAM user will do all those things, right? But how to do that in that organization? Because if I assign a user to sales, and if I assign a user to another department, I have to restrict the sales organization will access only these particular resources, right? So how will you do that in the AWS organization?
Okay, so whenever you are assigning a user to that particular organization unit, okay, that person has access only to that organization unit, not any other organization unit, until unless that person is into that master account.
Okay, but the organization unit, you didn't give any policies that are like anything. That particular unit will have access only to few resources, right? Where will you give all those things?
Okay, whenever you are assigning that restricted within that organization unit, no need to specific any separate policies or anything. But you can give some permissions to that one, like a person can be modified anything within that organization. For example, I have created one user for that marketing department. Okay, so within that marketing department, he can do whatever the changes he can. Okay, for that some options he has to enable or disable. Okay, I think you may notice I have disabled some of the options, correct? And I enable only one options. Okay, if that particular user has that permission, they can enable or disable within that organization unit, but not our other organization. For example, sales, he can modify only to that sales department.
Now, modify means, what do you mean? Like, because we didn't link any resources for that particular organization department, right?
What I mean, okay, you are a
Yeah.
master. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so you have ordered me into that marketing department, marketing
Okay.
organization unit. Okay, so I have permission to add more resources to that marketing. Okay,
Okay, Satya. Okay.
okay. So in that case, I can remove some users from that marketing department. I
Yeah.
have that permission. Okay, you are the master. Still, I can do because I have that permission. Okay,
Okay.
so such operations I can perform within that marketing department.
Okay.
Okay, and,
Okay.
but you are the master. You have created a sales department also. Okay,
Okay.
you have put one salesperson into that sales department organization unit. Okay,
Okay.
keep in mind you are the master for sales organization unit, marketing organization unit. I am only into that marketing, and one more person like me, he is in the sales. Okay, you are ability to control two departments. You can add and remove anyone from these two departments.
Okay.
But I can add and remove only my department, which is within marketing.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Did I answer your
So
question?
this organization is nothing but just organizing the people to different
Exactly.
organizations.
Yes.
And other than that, it's nothing to do with the resources, access, or like permissions or any of those things.
That it will taken care by IAM.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it. That's what I was little confused between how the IAM, that resources access, is linked to the organization. It's nothing but a grouping other than this organization does nothing. Okay.
Yeah, but your IAM policies roles will be a major role to play in AWS organization because both are integrated.
Okay. Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. 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 Now I got the entire
Okay.
picture. Yeah. Thanks, Satya. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, hi Satya.
Okay.
Actually, I joined this seminar like just today, and I could not. I just found on a Facebook event. So can I get access to the previous sessions that you had?
Okay, may I know your
Somehow,
name, please?
I'm Shailesh Thakur.
Okay, sure.
So I just got to know about this on the Facebook event. So just I joined today itself, but
Okay.
I missed the previous ones.
Okay, sure.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll share.
Yeah,
Thank you so
Satya,
much.
this is Amit. I also sent you my mail ID. If you can send me as well, that would be great.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll do
Or
that.
should I share the email ID with you for that right now?
Because otherwise I don't know.
So like, do I write this in chat or something?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if we want access to the deck, we need to send you an email. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Otherwise, I don't know your email.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if maybe Dr. J was going to
Okay. Otherwise, what I
organize
will
it
do,
and post
I
it
will
somewhere.
send to Jay, and you can get it from him for simple. Is it okay?
Okay. I just sent an email ID as well in the group chat. So
Okay. Sure.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. No problem. Any questions?
Satya, this is Rajesh.
Hey, Rajesh.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
The notification you are talking about, that right? Is there
Mhm.
any way we can configure the notification, like in a workflow, like in a second level, first level approving, kind of strategy? Can you do that through AWS, or
Yes.
is there something we need to configure?
Yeah. Absolutely. You can create as many notification and you can configure accordingly. Yes, it is possible.
Okay. Is it by the business processes, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Satya.
Satya, this is Jaykumar.
Hey, Jaykumar.
Yeah, so this when I'm adding the IAM user, when in the hands-on, like you added another account and you got an email for the invite.
Yeah.
So when I add the IAM user, there is no email associated to that IAM. So that's how they can go and acknowledge that one.
Okay,
The
there
IAM.
there are two options. Okay, if you are inviting IAM user, okay, they don't have any other options. They directly will be ordered into your account. Okay, that is one thing. But still, any IAM user can be aligned with any user ID. Okay, that means any email ID. By default, in the practical perspective, okay, if you are running an organization, okay, you are recruiting 2 people. Okay, by default, they will get their email ID in the first day itself, right? At least second day or third day itself, right?
Yeah.
Guys, put on mute. If you are not talking, please put on mute. Okay. So in the case, as soon as you are creating IAM user after getting the email ID, right? So what will happen whenever you are creating a new user, it will goes to their email address, right? Then they are clicking and they are changing their password, kind of thing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So practical perspective, yes, even IAM user, they will get notified whenever you are inviting them to join your AWS organization. Once they click, then they will be part of your organization. And for example, if you are running an organization, okay, anybody they are joining to your organization, by default, they are part of your organization, correct? There is no option unless that person is going to be terminated from your organization or they are resigning themselves from your organization, correct?
Yeah.
So that kind of fundamental over here.
Okay.
Any questions?
Hey, Satya.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you said when we migrate the data, 24 hours is for the very extreme amount of data.
Correct.
So that includes the Snowball and Snowbubble migration or no?
Yeah, it depends actually. For example, there are 3 types of or 4 types of migration, right? As we discussed, one is Snowball. If you have a large amount of data, okay. If you have a significantly large amount of data, then you are going for the Snowmobile. Okay. If you are using Snowball, what will happen? You are transferring the data from your on-premises server to Snowball, right? Then you are transmitting that Snowball to the Amazon premises for upload, right? That is totally different timeline because the transit time we are not calculating here. Okay. As soon as the Snowball or Snowmobile reach to that AWS premises, since then it will take 24 hours to upload. I think you got clarified now, right?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Satya, could I know why that delay in that time period for migrating data? Is there any reason for that?
You are talking about, why it is taking 24 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, for
Why it's not
example,
real?
okay,
Why it's
for
not
example,
real time?
okay, so for example, Bank of America wants to migrate all their application to cloud from their on-premises. Okay, so it has lots of application, loads of data, and thousands of third-party applications. All are interrelated, correct? So it will take that much of time to properly upload to the cloud and optimized. So that's the reason it will take that much of time for large amount of data.
Okay, is the audit trail happens on the source side or on the target side?
Both.
Okay. Thanks.
So, hi Satya, this is Suresh.
Suresh.
When they offload the applications and related data from the source, will they have a sequence? Is a customer in charge of the sequence so that the sequence of loading is maintained on the Amazon side?
Okay, the sequence supposed to be illustrated by the customer. Okay, otherwise AWS, they don't know what are the sequences that's going to be, right? So their job is just whatever the listed application needs to be migrated to the AWS in that sequence.
So the question is more like, if the customer is responsible, of course, yes. But does AWS provide any kind of software or anything like that for audit trail, or?
Yes, they will give.
Okay. Thanks.
So Suresh, your question is more into loading sequence, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's all depends on the application, what we are uploading the data into.
Right. Suresh, did I answer your question?
Okay, Satya, this is Saravana. I have one question regarding to so right now you have walked through the migration from on-premises to AWS.
Yeah.
Is it the inverse is the same efforts or same?
Okay.
There's the same. How does it work?
No. Inverse is little different because you need to. Okay, for your convenience, I'm going to that picture. Okay, so this is what you are talking about, inverse, right?
Yeah.
So discover phase is going to be yes, because you want to know still what are the application it's going to be in the cloud and what are the application to be on premises. Okay. You can eliminate POC, proof of concept, not record. Okay. And still you have to do cloud assessment phase. Okay. Application migrant phase. Okay. This one is not mandatory because you are no need to monitor how AWS working for your application, right? So you can eliminate these two and keep remaining three to reverse options. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. So that is easier than the migration.
Yes, relatively, because you already know what are the application you want to run into your on-premises than cloud.
And also it is the same for cloud to cloud also.
Cloud to cloud still it will applicable all these things, all these operations. Okay, all these phases applicable because still you have to understand how you want to move from Azure to AWS, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Satya, this is Rajesh again.
Mm-hmm.
So how often Amazon does their AWS services upgrade? Does it affect any of the things during your migrations?
No, because there are two answers related to this question. One is related with patching, security patching. For example, you are running your application in Windows. Okay, Uh, okay, someone scratches my screen. Okay, thank you. So if your application is running in Windows and Microsoft is releasing some quarterly patches or monthly patches into Windows operating system, right? So in that case, they
Right.
will page on behalf of you so that your service still not interrupted, even though they are going to restart their servers because your application is residing multiple regions. Okay, one region once they are upgrading their Windows or patching their Windows software. Okay, and the second one, it's already answered. There will be no impact due to multiple region deployment.
Okay. Okay. So you are talking about the Microsoft side of patches, but is there any kind of how often Amazon, do their, upgrades or patches to their services?
Yeah,
How
it's
often?
it's mandatory to that means patch that software as soon as Microsoft release that patches. For example, they typically, if they are releasing on October 1st, and within 10 days they will patch into their servers.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
No problem. Any questions?
Satya Jai.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Satya. Yeah, we have the two ways, Snowball and Snowmobile, both are like a physical transfer for S3 migration or S3, transfer acceleration.
Yeah.
So I want to transfer the data through, through over the, internet. Like we don't want to, is both of them is a physical transfer. Instead of that, we can I think direct connect is like we can connect through REST API, or we have any command line interface we can connect it, right?
Yeah.
So is there any kind of it supports, like, is there any REST API we could talk about it? Is there anything available? And also, if we want to do that, like on Snowmobile or Snowball, do we need to specify anything when we copy? We need to specify what bucket needs to be copied, and if that bucket anything, explicitly we need to mention, or the Snowmobile have an option, anything, is there any option in specific in Snowmobile or Snowball?
Okay, so your one question has 4 questions.
Yes.
Okay, first question. Okay, so yes, there is a direct upload is available. Okay, I'm not sure whether you were there in our previous sessions. If you were there, then you are able to understand. We have created a bucket and we have uploaded files. Okay, that is the direct link or direct upload to that S3 bucket. Okay, so you can do that one. That is your answering your first question. And the second one, when you are creating a Snowball or Snowmobile, okay, for example, we have created Snowball today. So when we are creating, so that time itself, we have clearly mentioned the bucket name, which bucket that file is going to be, correct? Okay. So if you don't have bucket, you can create while you are creating the Snowball request. Okay. So to answer your question, yes, we have to mention the bucket name so that they will deploy their that application from Snowball to that particular bucket. And a third one, API is related. Yes, you can directly upload any files as an object in that bucket. And the fourth question is, yeah, go ahead.
It's like one more, like a Snowball. I have my applications more like real time. So as of today, I have like we can say terabytes of data. I have it using Snowball. I'm migrating the one of the edge locations. In the meanwhile, if anything that that interval, any data which is updated, that incremental, what is the best way to do it? Is any kind of a real time other than direct connect, or what is the other way? And is any other way is available?
Okay, I think a little bit you have to reiterate your question because it's a combination of everything. If I want to answer this question, I need a little bit more information. Can you reiterate your question?
For example, as of cut on Friday, end of the Friday, I took my dump and I sending into Snowball to edge location. Okay, it will take like 24 hours. In the meanwhile, any data which is delta, which is incremental, right? That what is the other way? What is the other way to make it as a more real time. As Monday, I want to switch it over to cloud. So
Okay.
what is how
Okay.
that works?
Okay. So correctly understanding, you have today is a Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Your application is running 24/7, all 7 days a week. Okay. So you cut down at Friday 5 p.m. and you send Snowball to Amazon Edge location for upload.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But still the transaction is in progress after Friday 5 p.m. till Monday morning 10 a.m. That 10 a.m. they are going to upload into that AWS bucket.
Mm.
Okay. So how I will manage Friday 5 p.m. data till Monday morning 10 a.m. data?
Right.
Because it is not in the Snowball, how I can upload the data? Is that
Right.
your question?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So as soon as you will upload it into that cloud, okay, AWS bucket, okay, the rest of the data, whatever you have created, it is not that amount of large data, like in TBs, whatever it is. Okay, you can use direct options to upload the data into that bucket after that migration is completed. Okay, so for next 2 to 3, 4 days, it's going to be a parallel activity in the Amazon cloud as well as your on-premises until your data is completely transferred to that bucket.
Okay. It's just even though so once it's there, just what I was wondering is there kind of a parallel mode, like what my this any point time I want to switch it from my legacy to cloud. So is there any kind of a data comparison, like okay, real time I can upload into AWS cloud?
Yeah, real time also you can upload. You can do. You can create a batch file.
Okay.
Okay, that is my suggestion. Create a batch file. Okay, every day set up as 12 o'clock in the midnight. Okay, whatever the transaction has happened, okay, that batch file will create. That means collect all the records and put into that your bucket.
That may
Or
work for end of day, batch process and everything for OLTP applications. So that may not work, right?
so, or
More in real time.
This is Suresh. You can open up in VPN tunnel.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, but Satya, just Suresh, I agree with you. So, Satya, if adding to Jay's question, so if you do the delta only, after Monday, 5 days you will cut off. Are you trying to, the AWS trying to allow us to do the second cutoff copy of the database from the source to target?
Yeah, they will allow. Okay. And what we can do, we are going to talk about VPC in the upcoming session. Okay. So how you can transfer your data from the desktop directly to that AWS bucket using EC2.
Okay.
We are able to understand more of it.
Yeah, that helps. Okay. Yeah. Because in the OLTP application, within a minute, there's like millions of records, right?
Yeah. So that time it will be parallelly synced with your cloud application, so that you are able to see the real-time transactions in cloud.
Okay.
Yeah,
that works.
Did I answer your question at least partially?
Yeah. He got answered. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks, Satya.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, Satya, I have one more question. So this migration, all we are talking about is from on-premises to AWS cloud. So we have this Snowball, Snowball, everything. So this same thing can happen in the other way around also, from AWS cloud to on-premise.
Yeah, that's what just now your question was asking, and I responded. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I moved to the slides and I have explained. Okay, so this one is on-premises to the cloud, or one cloud service provider to another cloud service provider. For vice versa, we can remove two options. One is proof of concept is not needed, and this enterprise cloud operation phase is not needed, because you are not going to monitor after you are moving to your on-premises from the AWS.
Okay.
Right?
So they will be sending a snowball to our on-premises from
Yes.
the AWS. Okay.
Yes, yes. Did you may notice when I have created the snowball, that time it was asking three options, right? One is import data to snowball, and another one is export data from snowball. Okay, and the third one is on-premises data. That means data storage. That means you can use snowball to transfer your data from your premises to AWS, export data from cloud to your premises. And third one is you don't have hard disk, you are running sort of hard disk, but you want to use as a primary storage, then you are requesting snowball. So these three options you can request.
Okay, got it.
So you were saying, Satya, you were saying it's a kind of a bidirectional, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions?
Satya, then how about the direct connect? Because Snowball and Snow Cloud, Snow Mobile, we are very clear. And direct connect, is it that one also is a physical device, or like that's the one like that we did that session, like whenever you upload directly to that S3 bucket, that's called the direct connect?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yes. Any more questions?
I have a question if people don't have any questions regarding this session. This is Suresh again. That 517-page document that you sent, will that suffice for the examination?
I sent 3 books. We are talking about the solution architect exam. That
Yeah.
book we are talking about, official net guide.
Yes.
That guide alone may or may not help you. So that's
Okay.
why we have this session.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I know. Along with this session, that's what I meant.
Yeah. If you're attending this session alone, yeah, it will give you good marks.
Okay.
Satya, one more question. Is there anything we can create a kind of a bucket and we'll test with the data? Just want to kind of do the kind of workshop. Do we have any option to do that? Like on the REST endpoint, if it is there, we can create a small amount of desktop to see. Just kind of.
Yeah, we
workshop.
already did. We already
Oh,
did.
you already did. Okay, last
Yeah.
session I wasn't there. Okay.
Okay, so okay.
Just want to see the performance.
Okay. Okay, here we are creating a bucket.
Okay.
Okay, my bucket name supposed to be global and is supposed not start capital letter. Supposed not start with only. That means supposed not limited with 2 characters. It's more than 2 characters. Okay, I'm starting with test bucket. Okay, okay, I'm start with. For example, I'm creating this one.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm into create US North Virginia. Initially, I'm blocking all the blocking all public access. Okay, just creating bucket. Okay, the bucket name must not contain uppercase letters. Okay, I'm removing that one.
Okay.
And again, come back, create bucket.
Okay.
I have created my bucket.
Okay.
Okay, here I'm uploading a file
through console. Yeah, this console. Okay.
Yeah. So upload. Okay, what I'm uploading. Okay, I will try to upload one file here. For example, okay, I have uploaded one file, and the block public access settings turned on for this bucket prevent granting. Okay, because I didn't given any access to public. Okay, so I'm going for the standard storage frequent access. Okay, that is storage class. We already discussed about that and just uploading. Okay, my file has been uploaded. Okay, so still I'm not able to view this file. For example, if I click this one, I'm getting the URL for this file. Okay, I'm just to copy this URL, copy link address and pasting here. Okay, it will throw error because access denied. I didn't given any public access for that. Okay, now what I'm doing, go to permissions. Okay, so sorry, for this bucket itself I set that means private, and now public block access, this one, edit, I am saving the changes. I have to confirm to change this public. Okay, all the public block all public access, now it's off. Okay, I'm going to my buckets, going to my files, and now I'm able to see the URL here. Okay, so copy link address coming here. Oh, still okay, hold on. I thought already I given the permission. Okay, here
Satya, I believe you have to give permission to the file, probably.
yes. Yes, public access settings updated correct properly. Okay, now overview. I'm coming here. Okay, I'm clicking that file and seeing this address. Okay, just copy and paste here, and okay.
And file permission also you need to give, file level permission also.
File level permission already given.
Okay.
If you see permissions.
I think like still I see make public from the permissions.
Yeah, it's a public only.
Now when you go for overview, that make public, there is a tab make public.
Here, right?
No, on the overview.
Overview permissions, yeah.
No, go
block
to
all public access.
Overview. Go to overview. I saw that make public. Yeah. Overview.
Satya, you are in the bucket. You are in the bucket now. Now we need to go to the file.
Select the file.
So this is the file.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we need to give permission for that.
No problem. Okay.
So
okay. Now, so this bucket, no public bucket, right? So if I want to update the content on this bucket, I can. What is the rest? Does it show any of the REST endpoint where I can expose to?
Yeah.
Is there anywhere we can get that? Like, is it anywhere it shows up where we can find out the REST endpoint?
You mean
if I want to upload, because this bucket is not public, right? This what one we created is a public, right? So here I want to upload some other file. So how I can upload it? Like, I mean, using the REST, where is the REST endpoint so that I can directly connect using that bucket name, then I'll upload the data over here, right?
Yeah, you can write a JSON file
Okay.
to upload the bulk files to this bucket.
Is it any, where is the REST endpoint? Do we have anywhere it shows up? Where, what is that URL to, where is that REST endpoint I need to connect? Does it show up anywhere or?
Okay. So this is the URL you can directly use.
Okay.
So this is the bucket name. Where is the region?
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
So if you don't mind any copy. Anyway, this is a test one, right? So okay,
yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Satya.
No problem. Any questions?
Hey,
any more questions?
Okay, Satya, this made me to think one thing. So we created a bucket in region like Virginia region, right? But when you did that, the transfer acceleration speed, the Virginia was slower, and the presentation that you showed to us, that you are trying to like download something from London to the viewers in Africa. Okay. Since this bucket been created in Virginia, even if the Mumbai or other thing is faster, but still like my bucket is created in Virginia means then the transfer acceleration will take from the Virginia bucket to the user location, right?
Yeah. For example, whatever the requested content is not available in the Virginia, okay, but it is available in the Europe. Okay, the transfer is happening from your UK region to Europe region to your Virginia region.
No, but when I created the bucket, I created in Virginia.
Yeah.
Then how it's going to be available in Europe bucket? I mean, in Europe region.
No, what I'm trying to say, if you are accessing your file within the Virginia region, it is your premises file, everything that is fine. You need not
okay.
rely on other region. For example, if you want to stream
from India, okay.
Yeah, if you want to stream some media file, or yes, you have offshore at India and you want to access files from your Mumbai. Okay, that time that acceleration speed is matter.
Oh, okay. Then from the bucket that I created in, if suppose the file is present in the Virginia region bucket.
Yeah.
So if I'm accessing from India, then from the Virginia region bucket, it goes to the transfer acceleration will happen until to the Mumbai region, and from the Mumbai region, the people in India will access my file.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so the transfer acceleration takes place between region to region.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, okay. And then from region to the edge location also, again the transfer acceleration will take place, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So it's between regions and between region and the edge locations. For that, the transfer. Okay.
It's
Got
completely replicated each other, looks like.
So you understand, right?
Yes. Yeah, got it, Satya.
Sure. Yeah. Any questions?
Okay.
Satya, Rajesh again, this question. So anything you upload to AWS to your on-site premises, so is there the backup happens right away?
Yes.
Or do we have to set up something different?
Okay, so you are asking as soon as we are moving data from on-premises to the cloud, right?
Right.
So as soon as it will be completed, then it will be transferred to multiple regions.
Okay.
So that your data will be available anytime if one region is not available, even though one region is not available.
Okay, the backup is happening in AWS automatically, or do we have to configure something else?
Yeah, by default, it will be that means you can configure specifically like how I have created Glacier account sometimes ago today, right? Like that you can create, but even you are not creating, there are multiple regions it will be uploaded by AWS. So you need not worry about your data.
Okay.
So how that uploading is happening? That uploading is happening again through that the transfer acceleration?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so in background itself that will happen through the
Correct.
transfer acceleration.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Any questions? All right, it's one central. If
Yeah,
three,
Satya,
two,
thanks again for your valuable time.
may I know who's this? Suresh?
Suresh, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Suresh.
Yes, Satya, yes, we asked like lot of questions, and then thanks for your time, and then thanks patiently, answering for all our, even if it doesn't make any sense to you also, you are trying to answer everything. Thank you so much, Satya.
You're welcome. I prepared my first session itself like this, so don't worry.
Where he hurriedly scooted his sleeping.
Satya likes to ask more questions. Participate and just ask more questions. Okay. Anybody just join through Professor Jay Virasami's link. Just send all your email to Mr. Jay, and he can send it to Satya. I know you guys all texted here, but Satya will add you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
One more question. So, the information about the upcoming meetings, like where do we find those?
If you are from University of Texas, then Dr. Jay will contact you. You can contact Dr. Jay.
Okay. Like, how about for someone who is not, UTT student?
Okay.
So Dr. Jay is in our group. He will communicate to you guys. You can join. It's not an issue.
Okay. How you know about this session today?
I saw that in the meetup.
Okay, then it's supposed to be from Dr. Jay, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, then he will communicate again for a future session also. You can contact him.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Satya, Dr. Jay also on the call, right?
He was there, but I'm not sure. I didn't check.
Okay. Thanks, Satya.
I think still he's part of this call. I didn't see.
No, I think a lot of people already left. When it was peak, I can see almost 85 participants were there.
Yeah. Sure. All right.
Yeah, this is Venkat from Colorado. Thank you for the session, Satya.
Yeah, always welcome. Yeah, sure, Venkat. Yeah.
Thanks, Satya.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic weekend.
Yeah. See you next week, Satya.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.